how do people, how did you or ever come in contact with the notion of learning a language, a not second language, foreign language? Most likely, for many of us, is a classroom, a school setting where you had teachers, textbooks, right? And even outside of the context of language learning, I would venture, conjures up in people's minds what? Teachers, schools, textbooks. Would you say? Well, the problem with that is that language learning is not that kind of learning. Does that make sense to you? Well, to a point it works, right? I mean, so you start out, let's say, learning a language in a school setting where there's a teacher in a classroom and you learn from textbooks. That can take you pretty far. But what I'm saying is, well, it only takes you so far, because beyond that, what needs to happen is that whatever learning you were able to achieve in that sense of school learning, being taught, whatever learning, so whatever level of knowledge or ability you were able to attain with that type of learning only takes you to this place where, or it doesn't really feel like you are fully capable. There's a level of insecurity, there's a level of miscommunication, you still miss some of the nuances of things. And most places you turn, that's what you learn about. Language learning is like that. You guys don't worry about making mistakes. The important thing is to communicate, and if you can communicate, that's what matters. Well, true. And you have to have that attitude to get anywhere. If you're afraid of making mistakes, yes, true. Communicating is the most important thing. However, if there are certain levels of goals in your life, for example, that might require more than that. So say if you want to be, a leader in business, or if you want to function at a certain level professionally, academically, even socially, that level of just being able to communicate without really worrying about, being precise or being correct, is not enough. So the proposition is to go from here to that next level where you can fully operate the language, feeling confident, knowing, right, having that sort of masterful command of the language. Now, that type of school, textbook, teach me learning doesn't work anymore. You have to come up with something else. And what that might be is a place where you take the knowledge you've gained and now you leave the school, you leave the classroom, you leave the teacher behind, and you put yourself in the real life situations where you have to engage in the language and teach yourself, or engage in an exercise where you are constantly expanding your knowledge, your level of ability in the language by yourself. And the basis of that is what you already know. So, in other words, using what you know in real life, demanding uses of language to constantly stretch your ability to take in and produce out that language And in the process of this exercise, always correcting, perfecting, expanding not only your knowledge, but your ability to implement that knowledge of the language in real life communication.